Yo, 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 everybody, it's Dan Richmond. Welcome back to another video. Hey, guys, so the Swirl Labs earlier at 12:40 p.m. today, they released this. It's called Mance Harmon and Leemon Baird's First Principles, Episode 1. I'm going to do a live reaction. So, actually, let me switch really quick to the right view for you guys. Yeah, all right, let's go. Live reaction to the Swirl Labs First Principles. Pretty excited about this.
Hello, I'm Leemon Baird.
Yeah. And I'm Mance Harmon, and we are the co-founders of Hedera Hashgraph. So welcome to the inaugural edition of First Principles. Many of you will remember that last year we announced that we were going to be starting these podcasts, and now we're finally at the stage of being able to do that. We decided to name the series First Principles. So Leemon, why the name? Why First Principles?
Well, this is a series that's similar to when Mance and I just sit around and talk all the time. And the way we do it is we talk about some random topic and we try to understand it from first principles. What are the fundamental underlying ideas or principles or forces that affect this thing? And then you try to understand it. To truly understand something, you have to go down to the very bottom layer of what is the thing that makes it happen. And so we're going to do that. And we're going to talk.
Isn't that called, don't they call that like bottom up thinking, where you think about it from the simplest perspective and then go up in a ladder type logic? I don't know if that's actually what it's called, but.
Talk about any topic we can think of. What is money? What is the status of AI and the future of AI? How should we colonize Mars? What are quantum computers and how do they work? Whatever we're talking about, what the impacts of these things are, we'll go down to first principles. What is the at root, the basic things going on?
So for this first one, we're actually doing...
I love how he goes, what is the at root?
something slightly different than maybe what will be the norm. Instead of going really deep on a given topic, we're going to start where this all started for us with Hedera Hashgraph.
Yeah!
Back in 2017.
We love Hedera, baby!
We had a thesis. There were a list of points of friction in the market that we thought if we could address correctly, then we could help Hedera go mainstream in the market. And we believe that these points of friction were not just specific to Hedera, they were specific or the points of friction for the industry as a whole, and the industry needed to be...
They're probably still the points of friction for this damn crypto industry. I mean, seriously.
Able to address these in order for public ledgers to go mainstream. Those back then in 2017 were performance, security, stability of the public network, good governance, and then subsequently came along sustainability and being green. And in our case, I think we've checked all of those boxes with Hedera Hashgraph. Fantastic performance, best security in the market, fantastically stable platform today. Remember, back in 2017, what we saw were the layer ones all hard forking and creating chaos for anybody that...
It's so true.
Was building a DApp on top. That's largely been addressed by the industry, but certainly by us. Good governance. We have the best governance in the market today, and as we've said from the beginning, we believe that ultimately governance perhaps is even more important than the technology. And then finally, sustainability and being green. And with Hashgraph, Hedera is the greenest of the platforms out there. So
the greenest. We are the most sustainable. I think I've said this before, but let me reiterate.
We thought it's time to reassess. What are the elements today of friction, the points of friction in the industry today that need to be addressed, and just update our list and then talk about those. So, Leemon, what is the list?
So I would say if I'm going to update it today, I would say that the important things that this industry needs to be mainstream, to take over the world, which I do think is coming, it's going to make the whole world better, is we need regulatory clarity. We need to have regulations that make sense.
Yeah.
We need to have safety.
We need regulations that make sense. We need the SEC to get the head out of their fucking ass and figure out what the fuck is going to happen here. That's what we need. I mean, Coinbase can't do it by themselves, guys. Shit.
We need to have identity, deal with user identity.
And Hedera, if you watch my videos before, Hedera has the best damn DID or decentralized identity fucking platform. Best technology for this available.
User experience, we definitely need to fix. And then enterprise. Those are the things. I would say those are the...
Enterprise. And Hedera is built for enterprise. We have a friggin' governing model.
5 things that make it go mainstream. It covers both industry and users. It covers both technology and regulatory and ecosystem around it. I think those are maybe the 5 things I would say today, similar to the 5 things we said back in 2017. That's what I would say.
Right. Okay. So let's just deal with those individually. From a regulatory perspective, where do we stand and what's required?
Okay, so we need clarity.
This should be so interesting right now. Oh my God.
And a lot of the parts of the world are actually giving clarity on regulations. You can't have no regulation. That would be anarchy. That would be bad. But you also can't have bad regulations. That's also bad. And then it's even worse if you don't even know what you're supposed to do and you're trying to guess what the rules are. And so the most important thing is that we shouldn't have to guess what the rules are. They should be very clear. And they should be rules that protect users and encourage the industry to grow. That's what you need. I am optimistic. There are a lot of places in the world right now where that is happening. And in the United States, I think we are going to move in this direction as well. So I think that's what we need, and it is coming.
Yeah, so I would agree with that. I would say that there has been regulatory arbitrage going on now for some time. And it's interesting that the regulatory jurisdictions that are crypto-friendly have changed over time, and they continue to change. The U.S. obviously is still lagging behind, but Congress is involved, and hopefully we're on a path to getting some clarity here in the near term. So regulatory clarity, obviously, number one in terms of helping the industry to go mainstream. All right, so that's a given. Number 2 is safety, and Leemon, you've talked a lot about, or we've talked a lot about how most of the population assumes there is a safety net for just about everything.
Yeah.
So can you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. If you lose your password to get into your bank account, you can somehow recover it and you can get into your bank account. If you lose the keys to your car, a locksmith can come open it for you. If you lose the keys to your house, you can put a brick through the window. You can always somehow get your stuff. Not in this world. In the world of cryptography and tokens and so on, you lose your keys, you lose everything. You put your keys on a hard drive and it ends up in a landfill, you're going to be pawing through the landfill looking for your hard drive.
Is that guy still digging for that fucking hard drive when he spent like millions of dollars just to find the hard drive? But the hard drive is like 60 million in Bitcoin or something? It's like some stupid number, right?
This is not what people are used to. For enthusiasts, yeah, we all take this as our normal friction, we live with it. But what we really need is a world where there is always a safety net. If we want to go mainstream and have normal people holding tokens and doing transactions that involve these ledgers, we've got to have that. So decentralized recovery is what we've talked about a lot in other videos. The idea is that you have helpers that hold pieces of your secrets for you. And it's not just secrets for blockchains, it's secrets for passwords or secrets for...
So I talked about this in the last video, if you guys watched. Leemon just partnered with Charles, I think Hoskinson or hopefully I'm not butchering the poor guy's name, but the leader of ADA and Algorand Foundation, and they're gonna work on this directive that they're trying to propose for data recovery for keys.
Your favorite recipe, whatever your secrets are, you have to break them into pieces. Your helpers hold the pieces, and your device talks to them every day and asks the other device, do you still have my secret? This is what we as an industry need to go mainstream. We've got to have the safety net for users. Custodians are fine, but then they go the way of FTX and you have all sorts of problems. You really need to custody your own secrets, but then you really need a backup to make sure you don't lose your own secrets.
Okay, so we talked a lot about decentralized recovery. we've talked less about decentralized custody. Can you just tease apart the two?
Same thing. You can have decentralized recovery where I have the secret. Say it's a key that I use to sign transactions on a blockchain or a DLT.
Okay.
So then I have it. I can do my transactions. I can move tokens in and out of my account. Everything is good. If I lose my phone and I lose that key, then I have to go to the helpers to help me recover. That's decentralized recovery. And I don't have to go a fraction of them. You go to half the helpers and they help you recover. Decentralized custody is the exact same thing, except I erase the key myself. I don't even have it. Only my helpers have pieces of it. And any time I want to transfer something out of that account, I go to the helpers and they jointly do a conversation where they end up jointly creating a signature on that transaction. I never know the key. They don't even ever know the key. That would be the next step. So decentralized recovery will be, then phase 2 will be decentralized custody, where even I don't have the key. And it's sort of...
So decentralized recovery and decentralized custody. Two separate things that Leemon's inventing, along with the hedera hashgraph that he's already worked on. God, this guy.
Like cold storage versus hot storage. Cold storage is safer but less convenient. Hot storage is more convenient but less safe. Or at least, if someone can get the key from my phone, then I'm out of luck.
Right.
That's all.
Okay. And so there'll be a lot more coming about this, a lot more information in the coming weeks. And months, correct?
Sure. Okay.
Right. All right.
Leemon's dropping those gems, boys.
So the third one that Leemon mentioned at the beginning here was identity. It turns out that when we started all of this back in 2014, Leemon was already working on trying to solve the problem of optimizing both performance and security in a consensus algorithm simultaneously, which led to the invention of Hashgraph. But I was in the middle of the identity world. I was working at a major identity provider and was handed the Bitcoin paper back then and was asked, can we use Bitcoin for identity solutions? And the answer that we came to was no. It just wasn't performant enough, didn't make sense for a lot of reasons. We needed something else to come up with real identity solutions that took advantage of distributed consensus or distributed trust. Okay, fast forward now to 2023. And where do we stand with identity and the need for it?
Desperately needed. The industry is working on identity right now, but...
Yeah, Earth ID, right? Isn't that the project built on hedera?
What you need is identity, your passport or your driver's license or whatever your identity is, needs to be something that you hold. It's on your phone. You back it up with DREC, but you have it.
Okay.
And then you can use it to prove to people during transactions that you are you. So you buy an airline ticket or you buy something at the store or whatever, you get a new credit card, you prove that you are you as you're getting it. And then it needs to have the ability to, the person you're interacting with, to know if it has been revoked. If somehow you've lost your keys and you want to revoke that identity. And so you use DLTs and blockchain, you have to have something on a ledger that's involved.
So I already made a video, guys. If you guys go back in my channel, you'll see a video where I talked about this decentralized identity.
Involved in the revocation process. But when you're not revoking, you're just ordinary talking to people, you should simply be able to have your phone talk to their phone or their server and do it. And it needs to be zero knowledge. You need to be able to prove to you that I'm over 21 without telling you my age or my birth date. I need to prove that I am a citizen of a certain country without giving you my social security number or whatever. I need to be able to give you just the information that you need, and I choose that. And so, if my phone knows everything about me and has the secrets, it should be able to do a zero-knowledge proof conversation with you, which just lets you know things without telling you other things. Everybody agrees on all this. The big thing we really need is the standards. Everybody has come up with different standards, but we need to have one standard. And I think that it needs to grow out of actual use cases. Just making up a standard doesn't help because lots of people have made up a standard. We need to all converge on one. We as an industry desperately need this, and actually society as a whole, I think, desperately needs this. If I get pulled over for speeding, I give them a piece of plastic that's easy to fake. That's just crazy. It should all be very strong, and from my phone to the cop's phone and all that stuff. We need to get to a world where identity is better managed.
Right, right. And I think the important point here is that we don't believe that we can just create standards and then have the world adopt the standards unless there is a major use case that gets wide adoption and identity is a central component of that. And then whomever it is that is lucky enough to find that use case helps to create the standards de facto in some sense. Identity goes along for the ride.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we're getting there. I think there's evidence that this is happening, but it's just something we desperately need.
Yeah, man. So what they're talking about, guys, decentralized identity. I went really deep in the video that I already had posted. But guys, it's coming, and it might not be in our palms or in our wrists, but some type of decentralized identity. And what they're saying about keeping certain information private, but still being able to share, totally is something we need.
Okay, number 4. So, user experience in the world of crypto is not good, and it needs to be good.
Unless you're on WebAuth Wallet with Proton, then it's a pretty good UI and user experience. I've used a lot of their products, MetalPay, WebAuth Wallet, MetalX app for trading now, and let me tell you, superior. I like their products a lot.
There.
Yeah, we have to admit, our software, our wallets, our software that uses smart contracts in our industry as a whole is not really easy for the average person to use. We need to make them better and easier to use, and we also need to make it invisible anywhere we can make it invisible. So invisible means it's just built into something else. I'm playing a video game and I earn something or buy something in the game, the magic sword or the super ray gun laser or whatever. If I'm getting an NFT from that, I shouldn't know that there's something called an NFT in the world. I shouldn't know that there's an account that I now have a key to. It should just all be invisible. And I should have it backed up with my helpers, and I shouldn't even know about that. It should just all be invisible. Whoa. And maybe somewhere in the game there's a menu I drill down to and I can see what I have, and I can see my account number and all those things if I'm an expert. But if I'm not, it should just work. And then I just magically have the ability to take my asset and use it on another game. Or take my asset and sell it on an open market, and people pay me real money for it. And that money ultimately gets turned into fiat for me and put in my bank account, and I don't really have to know a lot. And my bank should have a banking app that just automatically handles tokens and crypto and all these things. That's just sort of invisibly built into it. It's like I have an account with dollars and I have an account with hbars. It's just invisibly there. We need to have a lot of our software in the world have it built in. Ultimately, the iOS and Android need to have it built in. The operating system for the Mac and for Windows needs to have it built in. And we need to make it easy to use when you have to think about it and reduce how often you have to think about it.
Right.
Wow.
And this primarily is...
So is this where he's heading with all this? Built in so it comes standard on your Windows? Boy.
concerned with customer-facing UI, it sounds like. I mean, when it comes to enterprise or, applications that don't have a B2C user, a customer user, it's B2B, or maybe more correctly stated, computer-to-computer interface, then the UX is not there at all.
But it's a different kind of UX. Yes, so normal UX is a consumer, it's the user experience, and we need to have either a really good UX or no UX at all. It's just built into something else and you don't even see it. For B2B, It's just two computers talking to each other, so you don't have a screen with windows. But what you do have is it needs to be easy for a business to incorporate this into their business.
Okay.
They should have current relationships with SaaS providers that are providing them services, and then they just check a checkbox somewhere and they're now paying for an additional service that uses this stuff. And it shouldn't be that they have to think a lot about what DLTs and ledgers and everything are. It should just be something on the menu of options you're buying from your service provider, and you get this along with it. It should be very, very easy to build. And if you really want to build your own software and add it, there should be libraries and examples and other ways like Stablecoin Studio to make it really easy to do. That's also user experience. That's user experience when the user is an enterprise.
Exactly. So that leads us to the last point there, enterprise adoption, and what is the friction to achieving enterprise adoption? And
you just Hedera's already doing that.
Just touched on it.
We're already doing
that.
So
what we see in the industry today is if you look at some of the largest use cases out there that have gone to market, they require a patchwork of infrastructure providers that they have to somehow pull together and integrate It's not just a layer one. It's not just a custody provider. It's a whole patchwork of various types of providers. And there are no platforms out there that create solutions or, remove that friction for the enterprises to be able to go to market. So what we're seeing is that the industry is beginning to move up the stack in terms of maturing the technology stack in order to reduce time to market and reduce friction to building those solutions.
Okay.
We've done it here in Hedera. We've done it in a couple of ways. The first one was Guardian. Guardian is a piece of software that makes it easier to use Hedera for ESG-related applications. So you might call that
credits.
An accelerator, if you
guys don't know what ESG is, that's the carbon market.
Will, to adoption of Hedera, in our case, for ESG. We just recently announced Stablecoin Studio. Same thing. Anybody could build a stablecoin solution that, it could be hardened and you can use in a real-world context, but it would take a long time, and it's not just making API calls to our APIs for the stablecoin itself. It's a variety of infrastructure providers that have to be involved to build a full-blown hardened solution. We just recently announced Stablecoin Studio about a month ago now, where it makes it possible to reduce that time to development and deployment from months to literally a day. You could literally take what we have in the studio and deploy it and have a full-blown hardened solution that has third-party integrations already ready to go out of the box. So that is, the next step in helping the industry to mature and driving mainstream adoption. And of course, we're going to be doing a lot of that, and I'm sure we'll be talking about other areas where we're doing that in the future.
So what do you think? We had the original 5, and it looked like the industry and we did a good job in doing those. Now we have the new 5 that we need for true widespread adoption, where everything in the world is tokenized, everything uses ledgers for at least one part of what
everything is tokenized.
They're doing. How optimistic or pessimistic are you on these 5 things happening?
Oh, I think it's an inevitability. What's interesting is that when we started all of this back in we actually started in 2015, but Hedera in 2017, the market as a whole is a lot bigger. What we've seen is that the tech stack has become differentiated, and now the layers in that stack, each layer in that stack, has a whole industry of competitors. So now we have consensus at the bottom, we have services running on top of consensus, then and you can see that in Hedera, and then sitting on top of that, you have an additional layer of software that maybe, we call it middleware. We can use that term in this context, that begins to reduce that friction. And there are wallet providers out there, there are custody providers out there, there are entire categories that have been developed and have large ecosystems of participants. They're all competing with one another to build out this tech stack, and the market as a whole is much larger. So, and industry, enterprise, and large consumer use cases have been going to market in an accelerated way, even in the midst of crypto winter. As we started seeing crypto winter set in 18 months ago, 2 years ago, something along those lines, what we at the same time saw were the most important use cases beginning to ramp up and become real in a way that they hadn't been previously. So I'm very optimistic, and we're going to have a lot of these conversations to go deep into these topics in the future.
Nice.
I share your optimism. I see that we as an industry and the Hedera project are making great strides in all 5, and we really are going to become part of every...
Yeah, because you and Mance are the shit!
Every part of society, and business and education and everything around the world, because it just makes things better. You get greater speed and security and reliability, and you can disintermediate, you can enable new things that aren't possible before. I think this is all coming, and this is exciting to watch.
Yeah.
Cool.
So just a final thought here. We're doing this as an experiment, and we hope that you enjoy it. We don't have to talk about crypto all the time. In fact, we won't. The plan is not to talk about crypto all the time. If there are specific topics that you have in mind that you think might be interesting, let us know. If you have suggestions for the forum and everything that we're doing here, please let us know that as well.
Okay.
So, Leemon?
Yeah.
I like it.
This is fun.
I like this
I'm looking forward to
format,
doing
guys.
this more. I think this will be good. And I appreciate you all joining us for all of this. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, man, that was lit. Yo, I love this format. Thank you, Leemon. Thank you, Mance, for coming on here and doing this. This was some fire shit, and I'm really excited about it there, boys and girls, and everybody that follows my channel, whatever. I'm just, I don't mean to say boys all the time, but you know what I mean. This is freaking awesome. Hedera's awesome. I will never stop telling people about the future of transactions and the future, basically. I can't even, you guys know. You guys know. I'm Dan Richmond. We out.